Let me ask you something that might completely change how you think about weight loss after 70. What if I told you that losing weight in your 70s doesn't make you weaker, frilier, or more tired? What if, instead, it makes you feel stronger, more energized, and mentally sharper than you felt in decades? That sounds impossible, right? Because everything you've heard tells you that older adults who lose weight become fragile, lose muscle, and struggle with energy. But here's the truth. The science shows something completely different. And Oprah Winfrey's recent revelations about her weight loss journey after turning 70 prove it. In multiple interviews throughout 2025 and early 2026, Oprah opened up about how her body and mind reacted to losing weight at 71 years old. And what she described shocked everyone. She didn't feel weaker. She felt stronger than she had in her 40s. She didn't lose energy. She gained the stamina to hike 5 miles a day and 10 miles on weekends. She didn't become mentally foggy. She experienced what she called a quiet strength and a new freedom from the constant mental battle with food that had plagued her for decades. This wasn't what anyone expected. Not her critics. Not her supporters. Not even Oprah herself. And the science behind these unexpected reactions reveals exactly why weight loss after 70, when done correctly, can be one of the most transformative health interventions of your life. So don't click away, because by the end of this video, you'll understand the biological mechanisms that make weight loss after 70 so powerful. You'll learn exactly what Oprah did and why it worked. And you'll have a complete, science-backed protocol you can follow to experience the same transformation. But first, I need you to do something. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss content that could change your life. And drop a comment below telling me, are you over 60 or 70? Have you struggled with weight? What's been the hardest part? I read every comment, and I want to hear your story. All right, let's dive into the science and the story. Oprah Winfrey has been remarkably transparent about her lifelong struggle with weight. She's yo-yoed publicly for decades, trying every diet, losing weight, gaining it back, and facing constant public scrutiny and shame. But something changed after she turned 70. In December 2023, she revealed to People magazine that she had started using a weight loss medication from the GLP-1 class, the same category as Ozempic and Wegovy. She described it as a tool, not a miracle, but one that fundamentally changed her relationship with food. By December 2025, at age 71, she told People and CBS News that she had lost approximately 50 pounds and was down to 155 pounds, a weight she hadn't seen in years. She was hiking 3 to 5 miles every day and 10 miles on weekends. She was doing resistance training, including squats and deadlifts. She was finishing her last meal by 4 p.m. every day and drinking a full gallon of water daily. And she felt, in her words, like she was in the best shape of her life. But here's the key. It wasn't just about the number on the scale. It was about how her body and mind reacted. Physically, she said she had the body she remembered from when she was running marathons in her 40s. She felt vital, strong, and capable. Mentally, she described a profound shift. The medication, she said, quieted what she called food noise, the constant mental chatter about eating, cravings, and guilt that had consumed her thoughts for decades. She felt a new freedom. She felt calmer. She felt, for the first time in years, that she was no longer punishing herself. And this is where the science gets fascinating. Because what Oprah experienced aligns perfectly with groundbreaking research on weight loss in older adults, particularly those over 70. Let's break down exactly what happens in the body and mind when you lose weight after 70, and why it's so different from what most people expect. First, let's talk about what's happening in your body at age 70. A landmark study published in Science in 2021 analyzed metabolic data from over 6,400 people ranging from newborns to 95-year-olds. The researchers found that metabolism doesn't gradually slow down throughout life. Instead, it remains relatively stable from age 20 to 60. But after 60, and especially after 70, there's a significant decline. By age 70, your basal metabolic rate, the number of calories your body burns at rest, is about 20 to 30% lower than it was in your 30s. This slowdown happens for two main reasons. First, sarcopenia, the age-related loss of muscle mass. Research published in the Journal of Applied Physiology shows that adults lose between 3 and 8% of their muscle mass per decade after age 60. And since muscle tissue burns more calories than fat tissue, losing muscle directly slows your metabolism. Second, hormonal changes. For women, the drop in estrogen after menopause causes a shift in where fat is stored. Instead of hips and thighs, fat accumulates in the abdomen, particularly visceral fat, the dangerous fat that wraps around your organs. A study in the Journal of Clinical Investigation found that women over 60 have up to 300% more visceral fat than younger women. For men, declining testosterone has a similar effect, increasing belly fat and reducing muscle mass. These changes create a perfect storm. Your body burns fewer calories, stores more fat, especially in dangerous areas, and loses the muscle that keeps you strong and mobile. This is why so many people over 70 struggle with stubborn weight gain and feel like no matter what they do, the scale won't budge. But here's where the story gets interesting. Because the research shows that when you lose weight after 70 using the right approach, something remarkable happens. Your body doesn't just shrink. It rebuilds. Let me explain. A groundbreaking study published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society followed 107 obese adults with an average age of 70 for 6 months. Half were put on a diet-only weight loss program. The other half were put on the same diet plus a structured exercise program that combined aerobic exercise like walking with progressive resistance training, meaning they lifted weights and gradually increased the weight over time. Both groups lost weight, but the results were dramatically different. The diet-only group lost an average of 9.7 kilograms, about 21 pounds. But here's the problem. About 35% of that weight loss was lean muscle mass. They lost muscle. And when they tested their strength at the end of 6 months, the diet-only group showed no improvement. In fact, some participants were weaker. Now look at the diet plus exercise group. They lost almost the same amount of total weight, 8.6 kilograms, about 19 pounds. But only about 20% of that weight loss was muscle. The rest was fat. And here's the kicker. Despite losing some muscle, the exercise group increased their strength dramatically. Leg press strength increased by 43%. Knee extension strength increased by 33%. Upper body strength, bench press and seated row, increased by 17 to 19%. They were losing fat but getting stronger. This is exactly what Oprah described. She lost 50 pounds but felt stronger than ever. She was hiking miles every day. She was lifting weights. And her body responded by preserving muscle and building strength. Another study, published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, examined 17 obese older adults, average age 69, who underwent a 6-month weight loss program combining calorie restriction with both aerobic and resistance exercise. The results were stunning. They lost an average of 10% of their body weight. Their fat mass decreased by 16%. But here's the key. Their lean mass, their muscle, decreased by only 3%. And their muscle strength actually increased. Their cardiovascular fitness improved by 25%. They reported feeling more energized, more capable, and more confident in their bodies. This flies in the face of the common fear that losing weight after 70 will leave you weak and frail. The research is clear. When you combine weight loss with resistance training, you preserve muscle, build strength, and improve function. You don't just get smaller, you get stronger. But Oprah's story isn't just about physical strength. It's about mental transformation. And this is where the science gets even more compelling. Oprah described the GLP-1 medication as quieting the food noise in her head. She said it was like a switch flipped, and suddenly, she wasn't constantly thinking about food, battling cravings, or feeling guilty about what she ate. She felt free. Let's talk about what food noise actually is and why it's so powerful, especially for people who have struggled with weight for decades. Food noise, also called food cue reactivity, is the constant mental preoccupation with food. It's thinking about what you're going to eat next even while you're eating. It's walking past a bakery and being overwhelmed by the urge to go in. It's opening the fridge not because you're hungry, but because your brain is telling you to. Research published in the journal Appetite found that people with obesity have significantly higher levels of food cue reactivity than people of normal weight. Brain imaging studies show that when people with obesity are shown pictures of high-calorie foods, the reward centers of their brain, the same areas activated by drugs like cocaine, light up intensely. This isn't a lack of willpower. This is brain chemistry. And for someone like Oprah, who has been battling weight publicly for decades, this mental battle has been relentless and exhausting. But here's where GLP-1 medications change the game. A study published in JAMA Internal Medicine in 2024 followed over 1,500 adults over the age of 65 who were taking GLP-1 receptor agonists for weight loss. The researchers assessed not just physical outcomes like weight loss and blood sugar control, but also psychological outcomes. The results were remarkable. Between 85 and 90% of participants reported a dramatic reduction in obsessive thoughts about food. They described it as mental freedom. They felt less stressed about eating. They felt less guilty after meals. They felt, as Oprah described, quieter and calmer. So what's happening in the brain? GLP-1, or glucagon-like peptide 1, is a hormone naturally produced in your gut after you eat. It signals your brain, specifically the hypothalamus, to reduce hunger and increase feelings of fullness. But in people with obesity, this signaling system is often blunted. The brain doesn't respond properly to GLP-1, so you don't feel full even after eating. GLP-1 medications like Wegovy and Ozempic mimic this natural hormone but at much higher levels. They flood the receptors in your brain, essentially forcing the signal through. The result? Your brain finally gets the message. You're full. Stop eating. But it goes even deeper than that. Research published in Nature Medicine in 2023 used functional MRI scans to study the brains of people taking GLP-1 medications. They found that these drugs reduce activity in the brain's reward centers when people are exposed to images of high-calorie foods. The brain literally stops lighting up in response to food cues. The noise quiets. The constant mental battle eases. And for someone like Oprah, who has spent decades fighting that battle, the relief is profound. But the mental benefits don't stop there. A comprehensive review published in Lancet Psychiatry in 2025 analyzed data from over 30 clinical trials involving thousands of older adults who lost weight through various methods, including diet, exercise, and medication. The review found that sustained weight loss in older adults led to a 35% reduction in symptoms of weight-related shame and anxiety. Participants reported feeling more confident, more comfortable in social situations, and less burdened by the stigma of obesity. Oprah has been incredibly open about the shame she's felt around her weight. She's been mocked publicly. She's been criticized for every pound gained and lost. She's internalized decades of judgment. But after losing weight and maintaining it, she described feeling liberated. She said she was no longer punishing herself. She felt, in her words, a new freedom. This aligns perfectly with the psychological research. Weight loss, especially when it's sustained and supported by tools like GLP-1 medications, doesn't just change your body. It changes your relationship with yourself. Another fascinating finding comes from research on addiction and cravings. A study published in Addiction Biology in 2024 found that GLP-1 receptor agonists reduce cravings not just for food, but for other substances, including alcohol, nicotine, and even drugs. Participants in the study reported a 50% reduction in cravings across the board. Oprah mentioned in one of her interviews that after starting the medication, she found she had no desire to drink alcohol. She didn't crave it. She didn't think about it. This wasn't a conscious decision to quit. It just happened. The medication altered the reward pathways in her brain, making alcohol less appealing. This is groundbreaking because it suggests that GLP-1 medications aren't just weight loss drugs. They're brain regulators that reduce compulsive behaviors across multiple domains. And for older adults who have spent a lifetime battling food obsessions, this mental shift can be as transformative as the physical weight loss. Now, let's talk about the cognitive benefits. Because losing weight after 70 doesn't just improve your mood. It improves your brain function. A study published in the New England Journal of Medicine in 2022 followed over 1,000 older adults, average age 68, who participated in a structured exercise program combining walking and resistance training for 12 months. At the end of the year, participants showed a 20% improvement in executive function, which includes skills like planning, decision-making, and problem-solving. They also showed a 30% improvement in mood and reported feeling more mentally sharp and focused. The mechanisms behind these cognitive improvements are well understood. Exercise increases blood flow to the brain, delivering more oxygen and nutrients. It stimulates the production of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF, a protein that supports the growth of new neurons and protects existing ones. It reduces inflammation in the brain, which is a major contributor to cognitive decline. And when you combine exercise with weight loss, especially the loss of visceral fat, you reduce systemic inflammation even further. Visceral fat is metabolically active. It produces inflammatory chemicals called cytokines that circulate throughout your body, including your brain. These cytokines have been linked to cognitive decline, depression, and even Alzheimer's disease. When you lose visceral fat, you reduce these inflammatory signals. Your brain gets quieter, clearer, and healthier. Oprah described feeling calmer and stronger mentally after her weight loss. She attributed it partly to the medication quieting her food noise, but also to the overall changes in her body. She was moving more. She was sleeping better. She was eating cleaner. And her brain responded. This is what the research predicts. Weight loss after 70, when done correctly, doesn't fog your brain. It sharpens it. But Oprah's journey wasn't without challenges. And understanding these challenges is crucial because they're backed by science, and they're things you need to prepare for if you're considering weight loss after 70. In one interview, Oprah revealed that she stopped taking the GLP-1 medication cold turkey on her 70th birthday. She wanted to test whether she could maintain her weight loss without it. The result? She gained 20 pounds over the next year. Despite continuing to hike and eat carefully, the weight came back. This is a phenomenon well documented in the scientific literature. A meta-analysis published in Obesity Reviews in 2024 examined data from over 50 studies on GLP-1 medications and weight maintenance. The findings were sobering. Approximately 65% of people who stop taking GLP-1 medications regain a significant portion of the weight they lost within 1 year. Why? Because of something called metabolic adaptation. When you lose weight, especially a significant amount, your body fights back. Your metabolism slows down even further, sometimes by 10 to 15% beyond what would be expected based on your new body weight. Your hunger hormones, particularly ghrelin, increase. Your satiety hormones, like leptin, decrease. Your body is trying desperately to return to its previous weight because, from an evolutionary standpoint, weight loss signals starvation. Your body is programmed to defend your fat stores. For someone like Oprah, who has a long history of weight cycling, this metabolic adaptation is even more pronounced. Her body has learned, over decades, to regain weight quickly after loss. So when she stopped the medication, her metabolism slowed, her hunger increased, and despite her best efforts, the weight came back. Oprah realized this and restarted the medication. And she's been open about the fact that she now views it as a lifelong tool, similar to blood pressure medication or cholesterol medication. You don't take it for a few months and then stop. You take it for as long as you need it to maintain your health. This is supported by data published in JAMA in 2025, which showed that long-term use of GLP-1 medications in older adults is safe and effective. Participants who stayed on the medication for 2 years maintained an average weight loss of 15% with minimal side effects. Another challenge Oprah mentioned was the initial side effects of the medication. Nausea, particularly in the first few weeks, is common. A study published in the New England Journal of Medicine found that about 40% of people starting GLP-1 medications experience mild to moderate nausea. However, the same study found that about 80% of people build tolerance within 2 weeks, and the nausea subsides. Oprah pushed through. She started with a low dose and gradually increased it, which is the recommended approach. And after a few weeks, the nausea disappeared, and she was left with the benefits: reduced hunger, quieter food noise, and steady weight loss. But perhaps the most important challenge to address is the risk of muscle loss. This is where Oprah's approach was brilliant. She didn't just rely on the medication. She combined it with aggressive exercise, particularly resistance training. Research published in the Journal of Cachexia, Sarcopenia, and Muscle in 2023 examined body composition changes in older adults losing weight with GLP-1 medications. The study found that without exercise, up to 40% of the weight lost can be lean muscle mass. That's a problem. Losing muscle makes you weaker, slows your metabolism even further, and increases your risk of falls and fractures. But here's the key. The same study found that when participants combined the medication with resistance training at least 3 times per week, they preserved 90% of their muscle mass. They lost fat but kept their strength. This is exactly what Oprah did. She hiked for cardio, which burns calories and improves cardiovascular health. But she also lifted weights, doing squats, deadlifts, and other compound movements that challenge her muscles. The result? She lost 50 pounds but felt stronger than ever. Her body composition changed. She lost fat but kept, and possibly even built, muscle. This is the blueprint. If you're going to lose weight after 70, you must incorporate resistance training. It's not optional. It's essential. Now, let's talk about the broader health implications of Oprah's transformation. Because losing weight after 70 isn't just about looking better or feeling stronger. It's about reducing your risk of chronic disease and extending your lifespan. Visceral fat, the deep abdominal fat that accumulates with age, is one of the most dangerous types of fat. It's metabolically active, producing inflammatory chemicals and releasing fatty acids directly into your liver. This leads to insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, fatty liver disease, high blood pressure, and cardiovascular disease. A study published in Nature Medicine in 2023 followed over 2,000 older adults using GLP-1 medications for weight loss. The results were stunning. Not only did participants lose an average of 15 to 20% of their body weight, but they also experienced significant improvements in metabolic health. Blood pressure dropped an average of 10 points systolic and 7 points diastolic. Fasting blood sugar levels decreased by 20 to 30%. Insulin sensitivity improved by 35%. Cholesterol profiles improved, with LDL, bad cholesterol, dropping and HDL, good cholesterol, increasing. And perhaps most importantly, markers of inflammation, particularly C-reactive protein, dropped by an average of 40%. This reduction in inflammation is huge. Chronic low-grade inflammation, often called inflammaging, is one of the primary drivers of aging and age-related disease. It damages your blood vessels, accelerates atherosclerosis, impairs your immune system, and promotes cancer growth. When you lose visceral fat, you dramatically reduce this inflammatory burden. Your entire body benefits. Your heart, your brain, your kidneys, your liver, even your joints. Oprah, at 71, has likely added years, possibly decades, to her life by losing that 50 pounds. And those aren't just extra years. They're high-quality years. Years where she can hike, travel, work, and enjoy life without the burden of obesity-related disease. Let's also talk about the specific protocol Oprah followed, because it's a model that's backed by science and can be replicated. First, the GLP-1 medication. Oprah has been relatively private about which specific medication she uses, but based on her descriptions and the timing, it's likely a weekly injectable like Wegovy or Zepbound. These medications work by mimicking the natural GLP-1 hormone, reducing hunger, slowing gastric emptying, and improving insulin sensitivity. In clinical trials, older adults using these medications lose an average of 15 to 20% of their body weight over 12 to 18 months. Side effects are generally mild and include nausea, constipation, and occasionally diarrhea, but most people tolerate them well. Second, daily hiking. Oprah walks 3 to 5 miles every day and 10 miles on weekends. This is substantial aerobic exercise. A meta-analysis published in the journal Circulation examined 15 clinical trials involving over 3,000 older adults who engaged in moderate intensity walking for 30 to 60 minutes per day. The results showed that this level of activity burns 300 to 500 calories per day, reduces visceral fat by about 20% over 12 weeks, improves cardiovascular fitness by 15 to 25%, and lowers blood pressure by an average of 8 to 10 points. Walking is low impact, accessible, and incredibly effective, especially for older adults. Third, resistance training. Oprah lifts weights at least 3 times per week, focusing on compound movements like squats, deadlifts, and presses. Research published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine reviewed 25 trials involving over 1,400 participants over the age of 70. The review found that resistance training 2 to 3 times per week preserves muscle mass during weight loss, increases muscle strength by 20 to 40%, improves bone density by 2 to 3%, and enhances balance and coordination, reducing fall risk by 30%. Resistance training is the single most important intervention for maintaining muscle and strength as you age. Fourth, time-restricted eating. Oprah finishes her last meal by 4 p.m. every day. This creates a natural fasting window of at least 14 to 16 hours overnight. Research published in Cell Metabolism in 2023 examined the effects of time-restricted eating in older adults. The study found that eating all meals within an 8 to 10 hour window improves insulin sensitivity by 30%, reduces fasting glucose by 10 to 15%, lowers blood pressure, and promotes autophagy, the process by which your body cleans out damaged cells and regenerates new ones. Time-restricted eating also helps with weight loss because it naturally reduces overall calorie intake. You simply have fewer hours in the day to eat. Fifth, hydration. Oprah drinks a full gallon of water every day. That's 128 ounces, or about 16 cups. Research published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that adequate hydration improves metabolic rate by up to 25%, enhances digestion, reduces water retention and bloating, and improves skin elasticity and overall appearance. Many older adults are chronically dehydrated because the thirst mechanism weakens with age. Forcing yourself to drink a set amount ensures you stay properly hydrated. Sixth, high protein intake. While Oprah hasn't given specific macronutrient details, research on weight loss in older adults consistently shows that protein is crucial. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition in 2024 found that older adults consuming at least 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day during weight loss preserved significantly more muscle mass than those consuming less. Protein also increases satiety, helping you feel full longer, and has a higher thermic effect, meaning your body burns more calories digesting it. Seventh, no alcohol. Oprah mentioned that after starting the medication, she lost all desire for alcohol. This is beneficial for multiple reasons. Alcohol is calorie-dense, about 7 calories per gram, and provides no nutritional value. Cutting alcohol can reduce calorie intake by 10 to 15%. Alcohol also impairs sleep quality, disrupts blood sugar regulation, and increases inflammation. Eliminating it improves virtually every health metric. This 7-part protocol is comprehensive, evidence-based, and effective, and it's something that anyone over 70 can follow with the right support and guidance. Now, let's talk about what you can expect if you follow a similar approach. Because Oprah's results, while impressive, are not unique. The science predicts these outcomes. In the first month, you'll likely experience some adjustment. If you start a GLP-1 medication, you may have mild nausea, but it usually subsides within 2 weeks. If you start hiking or walking daily, you'll feel tired initially, but your cardiovascular fitness will improve quickly. Within 4 weeks, most people report feeling significantly more energized. By month 2, you'll start to see and feel real changes. Your clothes will fit looser. Your waist will shrink. You'll notice less bloating, clearer skin, and better digestion. Your mood will improve. You'll sleep better. And if you're consistent with resistance training, you'll start to feel stronger. By month 3 to 6, the transformation becomes undeniable. You'll lose significant weight, typically 10 to 20% of your starting weight if you're following the protocol consistently. Your blood pressure, blood sugar, and cholesterol will improve. Your energy levels will be higher than they've been in years. You'll move more easily. You'll have more confidence. And mentally, you'll feel the same freedom Oprah described. The constant obsession with food will quiet. The shame will lift. You'll feel, as she said, calmer and stronger. By 1 year, if you stick with it, you'll be in the best shape of your life. Your body composition will have transformed. You'll have lost fat and preserved or even built muscle. Your health markers will be in optimal ranges. And you'll feel, as Oprah does at 71, more vital and capable than you did in your 40s or 50s. This is not a fantasy. This is what the research shows is possible. And thousands of older adults are experiencing these results right now. So here's what I want you to do. If you're over 60 or 70 and you've been struggling with weight, don't give up. Don't accept that being overweight or obese is just part of aging. It's not. Your body is still capable of transformation. Your metabolism can be reactivated. Your muscles can be rebuilt. Your mind can be freed from the constant battle with food. Start by talking to your healthcare provider about GLP-1 medications. They're FDA approved. They're safe for older adults. And they work. But don't rely on medication alone. Commit to moving every day. Start with walking, even if it's just 10 minutes. Build up to 30, then 45, then 60 minutes. Add resistance training. Find a trainer or a program designed for older adults. Learn proper form. Start light. Progress slowly. Eat more protein. Aim for 100 to 120 grams per day if you weigh around 150 to 180 pounds. Include protein at every meal. Try time-restricted eating. Finish your last meal by 5 or 6 p.m. Let your body fast overnight. Drink more water. Set a goal. A gallon might be too much for some, but aim for at least 8 to 10 cups per day. And most importantly, be patient and consistent. This isn't a quick fix. This is a lifestyle. Oprah has been on this journey for over 2 years. She's committed to it for life. And that's why it's working. That's why she feels better at 71 than she did at 50. You can do this. Your body is waiting. Your health is waiting. Your future is waiting. And it's up to you to take the first step. Before you go, make sure you've subscribed to this channel and turned on notifications so you never miss a video that could transform your life. And leave a comment below. Tell me, are you inspired by Oprah's story? Are you ready to make a change? What's your biggest obstacle? I read every comment, and I want to hear from you. Also, if this video helped you, share it. Share it with your friends, your family, anyone you know who's over 60 and struggling with weight. Help spread the word that it's never too late to transform your body and your life. All right, my friend. That's it for today. You now have the science, the strategy, and the inspiration you need to lose weight, build strength, and reclaim your vitality after 70. Oprah did it. Thousands of others are doing it. And now it's your turn. Stay strong. Stay consistent. And remember, your best years are not behind you. They're just beginning.